Benjamin Netanyahu has just called Donald Trump Israel's greatest friend to sit in the White House. We thought Joe Biden was a pretty good friend too. After all, he gave $26 billion in military aid to Israel. But Trump has played his trump card.
I don't think people should be going back to Gaza. Gaza is a guarantee that they're going to end up dying. The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too.
You are the greatest friend Israel has ever had in the White House.
Let's get the obvious questions answered first. What will a post-war Gaza look like?
And it should not go through a process of rebuilding and occupation by the same people that have really stood there and fought for it and lived there and died there and lived a miserable existence there. Instead, we should go to other countries of interest with humanitarian hearts, and there are many of them that want to do this. This can be paid for by neighboring countries of great wealth.
Where will the Palestinians go?
Well, I think Jordan and Egypt will. I know they've spoken about it with you, and they say they're not going to accept. I say they will. But I think other countries will accept also. If we can get a beautiful area to resettle people permanently in nice homes and where they can be happy and not be shot, not be killed, not be knifed to death like what's happening in Gaza.
Will all Palestinians have to leave Gaza?
How many people are you thinking about?
All of them. I mean, we're talking about probably 1,000,007 people, 1,000,007, maybe 1,000,008. But I think all of them. I think they'll be resettled in areas where they can live a beautiful life and not be worried about dying every day.
Who will control Gaza then?
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. I envision a world, people living there, the world's people. I think you'll make that into an international, unbelievable place. I think the potential in the Gaza Strip is unbelievable.
The joint news conference was expected to make headlines. Benjamin Netanyahu was using this trip to send a message back home rather than to the world. He was giving assurance to the far-right partners without whom his government would fall. And after the alleged war criminal received a red carpet welcome, Netanyahu was acing his unique talent to keep all the balls in the air without any of them hitting the ground of reality. But to his surprise, he got more than what he expected. Trump is not only helping Netanyahu keep the balls in the air, he's lending his own hands to help juggle it. The US president has just opened a geopolitical Pandora's box with far-reaching implications for the Middle East. He wants to control this strip of land that has been one of the major flashpoints not only between the Palestinians and the Israelis, but the Middle East as a whole. His idea is not consistent with any school of thought or with himself. Back in 2016, he vowed to extract America from the Middle East and slammed his predecessors for talking about nation building in the region. During the press conference, the real estate mogul in him took over the precedent. He said something on the lines of, Gaza is the reverie of the Middle East, a dreamlike land that the United States will develop and create thousands of jobs, and said that the world's people will live in it. We have heard so much about Gaza in the last 15 months, but many of us who are looking at the strip from the outside don't really understand its geography. Gaza is just 360 square kilometers. That's less than the area of New Delhi, London, and New York. It's a tiny, congested place where almost everything has turned into rubble. Trump isn't wrong to say that it looks like hell, but it was made into a hell, decade after decade. But what gives the United States the right to take control of another sovereign region?
For Trump to speak on those lines is nothing but a second phase of the ethnic cleansing and the crime against the humanity. This is a total violation of the international law, where Donald Trump does not respect any law, in fact, even the international law.
As soon as the ceasefire deal came into effect, jubilation took over the blood-stained streets of Gaza. Many of those displaced started returning to the northern parts, and many of them have been sharing their stories online, clearing the rubble, rebuilding the walls, and returning to a sense of normalcy.
They cannot buy Gaza. They're Gaza with the people. What do you want to do with all these people who are going to leave their home? Can you imagine when your house is totally destroyed, you have no place to live, and under the rain and the cold, no water, all this famine, still they are making themselves tent and going to live under the debris of their houses. Are the people are willing to go? They may be crying because there is no water supply, there is no food to eat, but they said, no, we are attached to the land. And I think that is the message Netanyahu has to understand.
Trump's comments come in the same week as talks began on the second stage of the ceasefire deal. Over the course of the months to come, Israel was supposed to withdraw entirely from Gaza and a permanent ceasefire would have been established. So Trump's comments aren't in line with the deal he has proudly taken credit for. Gaza has a long and tortured history of conflict and crisis. Many Gazans are descendants of Palestinians who were forced out of their homes during the 1948 Naqba. Now Trump is suggesting that they be displaced again, even though forced displacement of population is a war crime. Hamas has reacted to Trump's suggestion and called it a recipe for creating chaos and tension in the region. Trump has consistently named Egypt and Jordan as the final destination for the Palestinians, even though the governments of the respective countries have rejected the idea.
I don't think Egypt will be at any cost, even with the American pressure, despite the fact that we know that they will play the card of the Muslim Brotherhood and they will topple the government of Mr. Sisi, because that is what the American does most of the world, regime change by force. But by the way, even if this plan to be implemented in the region, the actual goal for Israel is not to see the Palestinian next door. Actually, they are planning in the near future. That was 100 years ago, 110 years ago, in the first Zionist conference held. It was mentioned that the Palestinian homeland actually should be in Iraq, neither in Jordan nor even in Egypt. So this could be a temporary move to create instability inside Egypt, inside Jordan.
The idea of relocating the Palestinian residents recalls an era when Western powers redrew the maps of the region sitting far away. In this case, Trump was 9,500 kilometers away from Gaza, deciding the future of a land he has never visited.
Mr. Trump, if you are yourself pushing back the immigrant from the United States, don't push the real aboriginal from Palestine. This is not a territory, is land without people. This is a people has to coexist together and live and integrate within the society.
Trump has been treating the world like a monopoly board. First it was Canada, then Greenland, and now Gaza. It could be the classic Trump negotiation game, but it's Gaza we are talking about. A region that is too complicated and the world understands too little of.